I want to start by saying that, like my Nationals colleague Sarah Mitchell has already spoken on this, in principle I support the intent of this bill, as I will any attempt to control invasive species and also increase access to our Crown lands. In addition to this, I believe this bill has the potential to promote outdoor recreation activities, which I'm also a big advocate, whether it's hunting, fishing, camping, but it has to be done correctly. And when it comes to the conflicting use of public lands and controlling native species, which are so critical for regional areas, we really need to make sure legislation is doing what it is intended to do, which is why I'll be moving to refer this bill to the State Development Committee for inquiry and report. This shouldn't be seen as a threat to the intent of this bill. On the contrary, it's a way to improve its chances for success. Let's have a closer look at this bill, clear off a couple of the potential spiders, and come back with something that delivers some real positive results for regional New South Wales. It's evident from others members' contributions that the ghost of the Game Council looms large and continues to haunt this issue. Given the way in which the council was abandoned more than a decade ago, it's a good reminder to pump the brakes on this bill and to make sure we've learnt the right lessons and don't repeat the mistakes of the past. We don't want to go down the same path, rush through legislation that doesn't deliver on the stated intent, and in fact sees us in a worse position for invasive species control, access to Crown lands, and our ability to enjoy outdoor recreation activities like hunting, bushwalking and camping on public lands. One concern that has been raised is the criteria compliant land set out in this bill. Again, I support the increased access to much of this land. We just need to make sure it's clear what this land is and what this bill will mean for competing uses of that land. For instance, there's more than 3,000 kilometres of non-operational rail corridor in New South Wales. Could these large parcels of land be picked up in this criteria? A network of land running through towns and villages, farmland and roadsides. Hunting these lands could come with a broad range of issues, including safety, biosecurity and privacy that need further consideration. Again, I'm not saying it shouldn't happen, but we need to make sure all of this is taken into account. And what about the pastoral leases in Western New South Wales? What will happen to these parcels of Crown land under this bill? It's potential ambiguities like this that further support referring this bill for inquiry. I'm also yet to be convinced about the need for a Minister for Hunting and Fishing. This bill is a conservation hunting bill, so I'm not sure in the first place how the creation of the Fishing Minister comes into play, although it would be a pretty sweet gig to have. I'm also not sure that there are many other ministerial positions enshrined in legislation, which could further mean it's inconsistent with convention. If this bill is indeed a bill aimed at reducing our invasive species population, then carriage of such responsibility should sit with the Minister for Biosecurity, currently the Minister for Agriculture. The makeup of the proposed hunting authority also warrants close inspection, especially given its proposed remit to promote, research into and educate about pest and feral animals. Interestingly, I do note this authority has already been funded in the budget despite this legislation not yet being passed. Another critical question is how do we manage conflict between different users of these Crown lands? After all, they belong to everyone, not just hunters. A hunter is not going to enjoy a group of people moving through an area on bikes or horses, any more than a family with small kids camping on a river are going to enjoy someone shooting nearby their camp late at night. I'm not suggesting either is a threat to the other, only that these activities might mutually detract from each other if not managed properly. And if this is about pest control, it's going to make this task more difficult if people are camping in an area where pigs might normally be a target. They're going to make themselves pretty scarce from this human activity, hampering control efforts. So let's explore this more with an inquiry. Throughout our history, we, including specifically those who have preceded us in this place, have made some terrible mistakes when it comes to invasive species. Mistakes that could have easily been avoided, or at least their impacts lessened with a bit more consideration, care and rigour. It's a long list highlighted by things like the introduction and subsequent lack of action on rabbits, foxes, prickly pear, and the more recent explosion in deer numbers. Let's take our time on this bill. look at it with a bit more rigour and make sure we don't repeat some of the mistakes of the past, but instead introduce tools that can make a real difference to the huge problem that is invasive species in this state. So to formalise, Madam Assistant President, I move.
I was just checking you're about to. Yes, very good.
Yes, I move that the question be amended by omitting "this bill will now be read a second time" and inserting instead, "the bill be referred to the Standing Committee on State Development for inquiry and report by 10 October 2025. 2, that notwithstanding anything to the contrary in the standing and sessional orders, A, on the tabling of the report of the committee, the resumption of the second reading debate on the bill will be set down as an order of the day for a later hour, and B, on the resumption of the debate, the mover and any other member who has spoken may speak again to any matters arising out of the report or the committee." Madam Assistant President, this isn't a scary amendment, and I see no reason the mover and others supportive of this bill shouldn't be supporting an inquiry. It can only result in a more fit-for-purpose bill that could deliver real outcomes in relation to pest control and hunting, and I implore members to support this amendment so we can get this one right.